Ms. Fischbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of observations. We're talking a lot about how they refused. But what we're forgetting is there's a lot of correspondence that went back and forth. They were having discussions. The attorneys were going through all kinds of things. And my understanding, and you can confirm this, Mr. Armstrong, but Scavino offered interrogatories, and Thompson refused. And so there's that issue that, so as we talk about that, maybe you just want to comment on that before I go on.
Yeah, there was numerous correspondence. Listen, I wasn't part of these negotiations. I can read the letters, that's what I can say. But it appears from reading through this that as these things continue to move forward, it was just a continued demand. There was no meaningful engagement as to the concerns that Mr. Scavino's lawyer had, and there would be months and time periods without any response, and then new deadlines set in, listen, short periods of time, and continue to move forward. But none of those actual concerns were ever actually engaged with any meaningful way.
But there, Mr. Armstrong, there was kind of discussion, and I understand you read them, after the fact, but there was communication going on. And so I feel a little, the language here is pretty strong about how they just refused and kind of thumbed their nose, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's true. And you can even tell in some of the letters that you can tell that they've been talking offline as well once in a while and things. And I read it with some frustration on the side of Scavino's lawyer, but I also think we keep forgetting the middle part of all of this with due process. And it doesn't matter if it's a misdemeanor or a capital felony. Due process exists the same way. It doesn't matter if it's a civil interrogatory in a divorce case or a subpoena from a committee in Congress. Everybody has a right to have their case heard by a neutral arbitrator, and we continue to skip that part.
Thank you. I really want to associate myself with the, questions and comments of the ranking member and of Mr. Reschenthaler, and I wanted just kind of to follow up on something that Mr. Reschenthaler, he was kind of talking about and asking questions about the executive privilege, but I just want to ask, Mr. Armstrong, are you aware of any statute, rule, anything like that that would require a president to, President Trump in particular, to report directly to the select committee in order to invoke his executive privilege?
No, and at the risk of being admonished again, U.S. v. Nixon is pretty clear on what this looks like and whether or not this is as settled of law as we like to pretend it is.
Okay, I just want to make that clear that is, so that when Mr. Scavino is invoking that's the essentially, would you say it's an acceptable way to handle it in this case? Yeah. And Mr. Armstrong, just in finishing up, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that you wanted to add or anything. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I yield back.